It's time for the podcast, which is all about the world of marketing on television through TV shopping networks and infomercials. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 29 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And now I want to be your guide into this world, explaining how it works, why it works, what doesn't work, and introduce you to the people who are making it the success that it is today. If the name Steve Bryant doesn't ring a bell, I guarantee his face has been on your television many times as host of two of the most successful infomercials of all time. And prior to that, the person who hosted the highest grossing hour in QVC history, Steve Bryant, has sold it all. Also worth noting, many of the demonstrations used on home shopping shows to this very day were actually created by the man that is my pleasure to welcome to Are We on the Air, that being Steve Bryant. Steve, thank you so much for joining me on this show.
Oh, Sean, thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of your on-air work. Have been for decades. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, you gave me $50 to say that.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm trying to give you your money's worth here.
Don't cash the check.
But anyway, no, I'm not only a fan of your on-air work, but I love this podcast. You went into the depth of infomercials and the beginning of selling things on television, and you brought people up to speed, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, you even, when you were doing the isomers, you even talked about that wacky Canadian shopping channel that, of course, could only be still pictures for the longest time.
Do you remember that? Did you ever see that? That was the craziest thing.
Yes, it was so weird, and I saw it. I was doing one of the keynote addresses. I was very flattered at the Direct Marketing Association, and they were meeting in Toronto. It was like, you know how the timing is everything.
Yep.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies had lost the World Series that night. They had absolutely lost the World Series that Saturday night, and I flew out Sunday morning to go to Toronto to give that speech later Sunday evening. And of course, I'm flying into the winning city of the World Series. So I figured, I always say to myself, wouldn't it be interesting if? So I said, wouldn't it be interesting if I wear my Phillies jacket? And I wore my Phillies jacket, and I'm in downtown Toronto, and they're having the parade. I got to tell you this. It wasn't a very big victory parade. There might have been like a couple of hundred people there. It's like, hey, we won, you know.
Of course. Very Canadian, yes.
I walk into the hotel, and the cab couldn't get close to the hotel because they had closed off all the streets. Although it was, like I said, a real wimpy victory parade. They didn't have to close the streets, but anyway, I'm walking the street, and a Canadian guy comes up to me, sees my Phillies jacket, and goes, "Hey, Phillies suck." And I said, "Yeah, your dollar." I said, "Yeah, your dollar's worth 68 of our cents." I said, "Who wins that one?" You know.
Good point.
So, always making friends. But in the hotel, they had that. And I'm looking at the shopping channel and saying, "What? It's just like still, still pictures." It's very weird. And I remember as an early teenager, there was Richard Burton did a Shakespearean thing, and I often wonder if this might have been for copyright reasons or whatever, but he did a film, a Shakespearean film, one of the Shakespearean plays, but the film was all done in still pictures as the film. I mean, it was we had a little dinky movie theater where I was growing up, and they used to get really awful movies, and this is the one of the ones they got. I'm looking at this movie saying, it's like old Polaroids.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, okay. It's like the early days of air travel, you know, where they would have first class and what they would call tourist class. Yes. You know, in first class, you had a movie, you had champagne, and in tourist class, they passed around a Polaroid of the captain's family, and you got Kool-Aid. It was pretty, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I saw that in Toronto, and it was fascinating. And then, of course, I realized it has to be a law. There has to be a law against moving pictures and selling things for this length of time.
Yeah. And actually this ties in, believe it or not, with the very first question that I have written down that I want to ask you about, because the CRTC, which is their equivalent of the FCC here, had a rule that you couldn't demonstrate items. And so that was part of it. You couldn't do a live demonstration if you were just working off of still stores. And in my introduction of you, I mentioned how many of the demonstrations that we see on TV shopping shows to this day you came up with. Was that out of necessity? Were you not pleased with the demonstrations that they told you to do? And give me an example of some that you created.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. I came from an advertising background. I was creative director of an agency in Atlanta for many, many years. And our bottom line was to sell the company's products, systems, or services. We had Coke as a client. We had Southern Bell. Back then, there was another company, South Central Bell. They later got absorbed by Southern Bell. And IBM's national marketing division was down there. So we had big name clients. And, when you're a big name client, you have big name competition. So how do you make it work? How do you differentiate your product, system, or service for, that was the three categories. How do you differentiate that from the competition? And we came up with all kinds of very innovative ways. One of our favorites was to do a film, and to do seveul versions of it, like a film that could be a 30-second commercial or a full-blown 15-minute, the history of Southern Bell kind of thing, so that they could actually see it. So in QVC, we were QVC and HSN. They predated us, I guess, by a couple of years.
Right.
We were just making it up as we went along. And we're thinking, okay, how do we do this? So I'm the first host who cooked on the air. Oh God!
Wow!
Talk about the memos flew.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, there was no kitchen set.
Yeah.
There was no stove. So Captain Science brought in a hot plate, and we had a Sears stainless steel cookware set. It was actually quite good. It was actually 1810 stainless, so good quality.
Wow.
A lot of the stainless that's around today is like not real good.
Yeah, that's
and it's
impressive.
Not 1810. So it really good, and it was a really good price too. I think it wasn't a big set. It was like maybe a 6 or 8 piece set for I think $79.99. And there was no easy pay in those days, so It was $79.99 or hit the road, one or the other. So I said, well, let's show, because people were afraid of stainless steel because things stick. And I talked about, using a little bit of olive oil maybe, and I made the differentiation. I said, people always say, if you use olive oil, it's healthier. I said, well, no, it's not. It's a fat.
True.
Olive oil, when you heat it, any of the health benefits go away, and it's just the same as using safflower oil or linseed oil or any of the other ones. It didn't matter. So I cooked on the air, and as you say, it was out of necessity. We had there's a little bit of the carny in all of us. We were
true.
selling. Oh boy!
Here we go.
Roll up for the mystery tour. No, anyway, we had a down comforter, one of the first down comforters we sold.
Yes.
And it was in like January, and it was out in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It was like 5 degrees this day.
Right.
And I said, look, let me go outside. I'm going to wear a short sleeve shirt and shorts, and trust me, even at that age, it wasn't a pretty sight. So I had my outfit, and the camera came outside with me, which we had rarely done. Camera came outside, and I had a thermometer, a dual thermometer, one of them taped to the outside of the down comforter, and the other one inside with me. Well, Sean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, unless you're dead, the temperature inside that down comforter is going to be close to 98 degrees.
It should be, yes.
And it's 5 degrees outside. So people said, oh my God, he's staying warm, toasty. It's fun, and from this spawned many temperature demonstrations. We, one day, one of my hobbies and interests, actually something I did professionally for a couple of years at trade shows, is magic and sleight of hand. And for my first several years at QVC, I was performing magic at Resorts International Hotel, especially at New Year's Eve. They had a big VIP party, and you'd go around to all the whales doing close-up magic. I will never forget the gentleman from the Middle East who I think regularly dropped a couple of $1 million whenever he came to Resorts International. I wanted to say, for another 2 hours, you can get to real gambling in Las Vegas, just so you know.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, it won't be, and first class entertainment. It won't be like, the man. And I don't want to say anybody and denigrate them, but you know the kind of acts that play Atlantic City, like me. Yeah. So anyway, so it was a New Year's Eve day, and we had one of the things we were selling. This is probably 1992, 93. We were selling a ceramic disc heater, and they were pretty much the rage at that time. Everybody thought,
yes,
great idea.
Yes.
And a little box that would heat your whole room because it was heating the air, and it was a marvelous technology, but it had died. It was today's special value, and it died all day.
Yeah,
it absolutely died. That nobody could light a fire under this. And I said, well, what if you showed them? What if you showed them? And I went and I bought a digital thermometer, one of those little thermometer guns.
Brilliant.
From Radio Shack.
Brilliant.
Radio Shack was still, well, thank you. Radio Shack was still there.
Yeah.
So I was able to get it. I got the little, and I turned it on the air. And this is 2:00 in the afternoon because I had to work early because I had to get my butt down to Atlantic City to make the obscene amount of money I was going to make in tips. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I used the thermometer, and I pointed it at I was about 4 feet away. And yes, right at the focal point of the ceramic disc heater, it was like 1,200 degrees. It was hot, hotter than blazes. And people, we sold it out at 2:00 in the afternoon. And after that, they began using, and of course, I was always amazed. They said, well, we'll go out and get a digital thermometer. I said, take mine. I said, I'm never going to use it. I said, I'll use it here, but I can't think of any other possible use I have for this damn thing. So we would do that, and then I got down to Atlantic City, and it was kind of a cool gig. It was 9 until 1, and you're table hopping, going table to table to table, and everything. And I'm not kidding you. On the average evening, and I'm not bragging, it's just how it worked. In the average evening, I mean, they were paying me a pretty good amount of money to do it, and I would get like close to $3,000 in tips.
Wow.
I know, it was great. It was great. But you know who made the most money in tips? And it shows you how poorly you and I have decided on our life's professions. Because the guy who was making $10,000 on New Year's Eve or more in tips was the balloon animal guy.
Oh, stop.
Unbelievable. He had a portable pump, and he had rechargeable batteries all backstage. So when the pump would run out, he'd run back, plug the new battery in, go out and make little, balloon viruses or whatever the hell he was making for them. Because, look, it's a DNA helix, But anyway, that was the lesson. But it was pretty much out of. I just wanted. I saw QVC totally as a sales job. The fact that I did it on TV, it was a sales job. So anything I could do. And like I said, they began using that digital thermometer deal. And also, I used an adaptation of the down comforter bit. We used to sell these waterproof insulated gloves. And I said, well, why don't we get a fish tank, fill it with water and ice cubes, and put a thermometer probe down by your palm, which will be 98 degrees. Sure. Even until you die, and then it will start to drop.
Yeah,
and we would do, and we sold a ton. And they were good gloves, but the fact that I don't think anybody was going to dip their hand into freezing
No.
water. And then we had those oven mitts that were impervious. And I'm amazed we didn't get sued on this. We used to tell people, please don't do this at home. Please, we just do this for sake of demonstration. We would boil a tea kettle on the kitchen set, and we would take these insulated oven mitts and pour the boiling water over our hands.
Whoa, you could not do that today. No.
Oh, God, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
But they sold a gajillion of them.
Course.
They sold a gajillion. I remember there was a lady who was selling, and I was very flattered. People, once I started doing stuff like that, other hosts and other guests started thinking about ways to demo their wares, and the things were selling much better once they had a really good and maybe innovative demo. There was a lady who had these cleats. You put the cleats on your shoes and in the wintertime,
right,
and then you wouldn't slip on the ice.
Okay.
And she brought in these giant, like from an ice house, these giant 50-pound blocks of ice. And she would like do a little dance on the blocks of ice. And that was fine until the one time she slipped.
Oh, no.
She's okay.
Oh,
she went,
mercy.
Look, I can't slip. Ah!
And down she goes.
He was fine. He was fine. But yeah, anyway.
When you think of all of the things that you've sold, and we know you're for magic, that you do magic. We know you're, especially people that follow you on YouTube, you're an avid guitar player. I was thinking about you during COVID because HSN used to have the guitar market nailed. I mean, they were selling millions of dollars worth of guitars. And that blew up. They screwed it up. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Why during COVID weren't the shopping networks selling guitars? People were stuck at home. They were dying for things to do. To me, that would have been so logical. I thought, where's Steve Bryant selling a guitar? Why weren't they just knocking at your door?
I pitched an idea to HSN and to QVC back, and they were one company, but at that point too. But I pitched to them the idea of selling a guitar, and I said, because the HSN guitars left a bad taste in people's mouths because they became atrocious quality wise. I mean, they were so bad that serious guitarists were buying them and doing, like, they would all chip in. They were what, maybe $300, They would all chip in and buy one, and they would take it out of the box. Everybody would do his or her own video, taking it out of the box, saying, "Oh my God, it smells like formaldehyde," which it did.
Wow.
The smell because it was plywood.
Yeah, I never thought about awful. That. I got to go see those.
It was just they're on there. They're I think listen, he was the guy who was selling the Esteban World Tour.
Yep.
I think they called it. And they would unbox it and talk about how really awful the guitars had become. And initially they were not bad. I designed a guitar at QVC. And this ties into why not during COVID. I designed a guitar, and Tom Piccone sourced it. And we found a place in, I believe, the Philippines that could make them out of rubber wood. And before I would let it, it's a pretty good, if you brace any wood properly, it'll sound pretty good. And rubber wood is very, very durable. And they talk about being an environmentally sound wood, man. There's more rubber wood in the world than you could. They'll never run out of it. It just grows like weed. So rubber wood. We made the guitar. Before I would sell it on the air, I placed it over a heating vent in my house for a couple of months. I wanted to see if it would explode, and it didn't. And it still played very, very well. I had that guitar for years, and they had me do a video for the guitar, and I did the video. Now, keep in mind, I was not allowed to participate financially in this.
Okay.
But they're paying me well. I'm fine with that. Hey, it'll be something fun to sell.
Sure.
I did a how-to video and the guitar, and we were able to sell that for under $100. Wow. And well, because the creator wasn't getting a dime, so we cut that expense right out.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
So we're doing the guitar, and the guitar in a year sold over 100,000 pieces. And it was the return rate was minimal. Everybody really liked it. And sadly, it was toward the end of my tenure at QVC. So doing another one, and they were always, I left of my own accord. I left to do, after 15 years, to do other things. And I was real happy I did, because I did some great, really, really cool things. But that being said, they never continued it. So fast forward to COVID, I said, look, either guitar or ukulele or both. I said, and I have sources for them. I have companies. The Kala company, K-A-L-A, makes great ukuleles. They're imported, but they're really, really good quality, and they're not expensive. I said, do a ukulele. I'll do a how-to video, show people how to make music, because my guitar video wound up being one of the best-selling how-to videos in history, because it sold 100,000 copies in a year, because it came with a guitar. So I pitched this whole idea, wrote it out, sent it to people I knew that were vendors and what have you, and it just sort of laid there. I know it was, because I also said, we could also do on your website, like maybe a lesson every week, and maybe people could subscribe to that lesson, and not for a lot of money. Maybe you'd have a free lesson once a month, but if they wanted like a weekly lesson, you could do that and put it on your website, and they boom. And I said it would be such a great thing and such a great service, as you said, during COVID, when people are dying for something to do. But it never took off. I mean, I tried and tried, and eventually you're bashing your head up against the wall. And you say, okay, next. Yeah.
That blows my mind. That just blows my mind. And actually, it kind of ties in with, I have a Steve Bryant quote I want to read, and then I want you to comment on, because it honestly kind of ties in with I think what we're saying here. Steve Bryant said, "I'm pretty sure if the channels continue to offer an extremely limited universe of products, their viewership and sales will continue to shrink." Explain that in a little more detail.
Absolutely. I call it I call it narrow branding.
Yes.
They come up with products that sell really well, and products that, we pioneered when I was there in the 90s. We pioneered the 1 hour sell.
Right.
It's got to be a certain product, like something that you won't bore the socks off of people, like a computer.
Computers always come to mind. Yep.
Yeah, a computer. Or I saw the other day on Shop HQ, they did a full hour on the not George Foreman, on the Shack
Grill. I saw that. Yes, I saw that as well. Yes.
A whole hour, and it was good. I mean, you and I both would look at that and say it could be so much better. It was good. It was good. It did fine, and I'm sure they moved some units.
By the way, you know what kills me, before we get too far off topic, but here's what killed me about that. At one point, at least in the episode I was watching, they put up a 20-minute clock. Wow, what a sense of urgency. I can go put my car up on blocks, I can do an oil change, come back, and still be selling it.
Exactly. It's well, there's a lot of people, and I'm sure you see this too. There's a lot of people in the business who are very young. Yeah. And we all see what happens when very young, inexperienced people get their hands on the wheel.
I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. They thought, put a 20-minute clock up. That'll get them going. That'll get them going. It's just, I mean, the average American couple could have sex and a snack, come back, and they still got 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so, but I'm sorry, I digress. But you were on a good.
No, but that was making a good point. That's a very good thing. But as to the narrow universe of products, they they need to maintain a cash flow. When I left QVC and I was gone. I was doing song parodies for the for radio and for the cable news channels. I loved that Fox thought I was a conservative. CNN and MSNBC thought I was a liberal. Oh, wow. And I just cared if the check cleared.
Yeah, exactly right.
I had no affiliation there, but anyway. So a few years after QVC, Shop at Home offered me an executive vice presidency to change their channel from the huckster, buy this Tiger Woods card today, sell it tomorrow for 10 times what you paid for it nonsense, to a respectable shopping channel. So I thought, well, that sounds like fun. And I went down, and I was like 3 years, 3 of the worst years of my adult life. But well, the host had been allowed to do anything they wanted for years.
That was the network and people might remember they did the overnight sports card shows with the guy, the Ken, I don't know their names, but the rookie card, and he would scream.
Don West.
Thank you.
Don West was the host.
Yeah.
And Ken Goldman was and it's a shame because look, Ken Goldman, I'm sure is a nice. I worked with him. He's a nice guy, but he would go and say, Tiger Woods rookie card. Boy, if you buy it now, you can send it and sell tomorrow. And it'd be like, oh my God. And Don West was always there. Be dialing.
That
right
was
now,
his phrase.
Right
yes.
Be dialing. And it was just so funny. So after 3 years of bashing my head against the wall, but I mean, they had the Scripps Networks owned them. So Scripps Networks only wanted to own them because they also owned 5 television channels. So they didn't give a hoot about the shopping channel. And when I got there, we started to really make a difference. Like, they bought, I think something like $8 million worth of a flat screen TV, state of the art.
Sure.
Really, and they had a great price for it. And they said, we're going to sell this throughout the Christmas season. And I said, well, why don't you sell it in a day? Well, we couldn't do that. I said, you sure as hell can. Let me show you.
Yeah.
I felt like, Pete Townsend in the rock opera Tommy, gather your wits and hold on fast. Your mind must learn to roam, and we did a promo for it with a bank vault and everything. And we sold $8 million in a day. And Scripps wanted me dead because they didn't want the thing to be successful. They just wanted to sell it. And they wound up selling it to a company that decided to return to those thrilling days of yesteryear. Be dialing right now. So they had just signed a 5-year contract with me right before they were sold, and it was a 5-year no-cut contract.
Wow!
And in the contract, it said, if the company is sold, you have the right to leave, and we will just pay you for these 5 years. And I had no desire to stay with them. And I think my favorite story about that is they wanted me to stay. They didn't want me to be in charge anymore because I had obviously pissed too many people off. They wanted me to be a show host. And they brought me into a conference room and they wheeled in a table that had 20 swords on it. He said, you sure you don't want to stay? Look, 20 swords. We could sell these 20 swords for under $100. And I looked at them and I thought,
oh boy.
That was where, and I said, 20 swords? Is there a dragon epidemic I don't know anything about? And they said, obviously you don't share our vision. I said, obviously not. No. I said, please spell my name right on the check. So anyway, but as the QVC and HSN universe of products get more and more narrow, fewer and fewer people are going to want to watch it.
Sure.
It's to say the one thing that's missing, and I have a dear friend, Raleigh James, who's a great talk radio host, and she's on Chicago WGN.
Yes, yeah, I know
WGN,
the name.
Yes. WGN Chicago. She's great. I mean, she's just she's been everywhere like Johnny Cash.
Huge talent.
Oh, they're just captivating. And we have every Christmas, either depending on the date, either Christmas Eve or Christmas night, I am always her guest on the show. It's been like, I'm not kidding, for like the last 15 years, wherever she is, she drags me out of the coals and says, "Come on, we're going." Okay. But Raleigh points out that the lack of entertainment, and of course, that's the thing that was always getting me in trouble. On QVC, the fact that I was trying to sell, but I was trying to be entertaining. It's like the Barbie Jello wrestling bit. I don't know if you know that.
Wait a minute. You told me this story at one. This is vaguely ringing a bell. Barbie Jello wrestling.
Because I was wacky.
Yes.
In the early days of QVC, or as I like to say, BD, before Diller.
Right.
Because all Diller cared about was money. Hey, you go up there and stick your finger up your ass. If it makes us money, I don't care.
Exactly.
But before Diller, I was relegated to overnights. And every morning at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern time, we had this Barbie play pool. And it was a whole set for $39.95. Barbie, Midge. Did you ever wonder about Midge? Whatever happened to Midge?
I don't remember Midge.
I have a feeling Barbie killed her and buried her somewhere behind the mansion. But anyway, Barbie, Midge, Ken, and a pool, and of course the pool was above ground because of course Barbie would have an above ground pool.
Of course she would.
And a little lifeguard stand that Ken could sit in. So I had to sell this every night. And I was told, please don't put water in the pool. It makes too much of a mess. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So one night I stopped at the grocery store on my way to QVC and I bought.
Now I see where it's going. Okay.
5 pounds of green Jello cubes.
Yes.
And I filled I had it backstage. I knew they would stop me if they even knew, so I had to hide the plastic bag with the Jello cubes. And when they set it up, I cooked up the Jello cubes in, and all of a sudden we were now the WWE. Oh, Barbie's in the ring. Midge has something in her suit. Look, it's terrible. She's hitting her. Oh my God, Ken, come on, get in there, Ken. Stop this. So they had Barbie Jello wrestling. Sold out. Did something obscene like $40,000 or $50,000 at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Sold out to I think I'm still getting memos about that. But they called me in. I used to get these, go and sin no more lectures, and they called me in with this, and I said, they said, what kind of person were you selling to? I said, the kind of person that has $39.95 to spend on this. I don't care. I don't care what they do with it. They can't hurt anybody with it. I know that. It's not a weapon. It's not it's just a stupid, fun thing. And if some wacko out there said, I could do my own Jello wrestling, who cares? But anyway, that was a demo born out of necessity. But the more the QVC and HSN want to maintain that cash flow and do these 1 hour sells with companies that I'm sure they're partners with, like Dyson, Vitamix, more than a blender. It's a floor wax. That's a callback to SNL. Right. So
and a good one.
Vitamix is a great thing, but they do a whole hour on that. They do other kitchen goodies. I forget what they would be. They do that. They have that the knockoff Polish stoneware, the Temptations.
Yep.
And that stuff's cool. It's great.
I own a piece of it. I like it.
I think we do too. Yeah. Somewhere here. We haven't unpacked everything for the movie yet. But anyway, it's really cool stuff. But I'm sure there's a partnership. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. If you're going to figure out how to make the most money you can, because it isn't how much money you take in, it's how much money you get to keep.
Right.
And being partners, you can do that. Like I'm sure that Michael Green, I guess he's still president of QVC. He was the president of Dell for a long time. And they have a lot of Dell computers, at least they used to. I haven't I have Hewlett Packard now.
Right.
There might be a partnership sort of a agreement with them. But I stand by that. The more limited the product universe becomes, the less creative the hosts will be, and the more sick and tired they're going to get of presenting the same thing. That's why some of the shows, like I am a huge fan of Isaac Mizrahi.
Yes.
I think he's incredible. Yep. Someday on my bucket list, I want to be a guest at his cabaret show, and I want he and I to do the Joker. I'll play the guitar, he can sing, and I mean, he's so talented. His stuff, his fashion is spot on. It looks good. My wife has a lot of it. It wears like iron. Washes like a dream. And he does a couple of shows. He does one with a host named Jennifer Coffey on QVC, and they are fabulous together. There's a magic there, absolute lightning electricity. It's a little, you can tell she's holding back, and that's okay.
Yep.
That's her gig. That keeps the suits off of her. But it's a fun show, and I think she's the best they got right now as far as hosts go.
She's up there. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. She really gets it, and she's fun. She doesn't take herself seriously. That's the other thing too. I saw so many hosts come in and treat it like a TV job. Like, I'm on television. Is it? No, you're selling crap on TV.
Thank you.
Get right with that. There's a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Steve, this might be a good point for us to take a little break here, and we'll wrap it up for this episode. Now, actually, we are not going to have Steve back until after the Thanksgiving holiday. So December 4th, if you've subscribed, so you're listening to these shows in real time. And by the way, thank you to all of you who have subscribed, so you're getting the shows as they get uploaded. Saturday, December 4th, so we'll take a break for Thanksgiving. I've actually got some news and information shows that we'll post Thanksgiving week, which will be just little short 15-minute shows. And then we'll have Steve back, and we will conclude our interview with him after the Thanksgiving holiday. So that'll be December 4th. Like, comment, share, most important things you can do for the success of this podcast, and I thank you for checking us out. I hope you'll check me out on Twitter and Facebook. You can find me at Shawn Wilsey, full name ShawnWilsie, and on Instagram at SWilsey. Thank you for downloading this edition of Are We On The Air? This has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.